What's going on, everyone? Sam here, back at it again for another Genshin video. And in today's video, I'm doing my first ever tier list. The reason I'm doing this tier list today, and the reason I'm focusing on 5 stars is, if I did every character, this video could legit be an hour. I don't want to bore you guys. And also, starting with 2.3 and going forward, a lot of these characters are going to be rerunning a lot more frequently than they would have, just because of the double banners. So if I can give you guys any help, any insight, any of my opinions that could kind of give you some inside information on these characters to help you wish on them or not wish on them, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you guys. Now, before we start with Kokomi, I wanted to say one little quick disclaimer. I am not an overly meta player. I play Genshin for fun. I wish on characters that I like their design, I like their gameplay, I like their arcs/stories, I like their voice actors and actresses. Now, sometimes I will wish on characters that are quote-unquote more meta or just help my team, but for the most part, I just play Genshin for fun, and my character selection kind of mirrors that. Now, that being said, I do totally respect the meta. Obviously, Cryo, Hydro, and Pyro characters are at a significant advantage. I do think that will level set eventually, who knows when, but I just wanted to throw that out there because, my tier list will probably be a little different than other people's. And also, I'm probably a little bit nicer. I don't have a lot of, F tier, D tier characters just because I'm of the ilk that if you invest in a character, even Amber, if you raise her talents, give her good artifacts, she's going to be viable. Is she going to be cracked? No, she just doesn't have good scaling. But the point is, if you invest in a Genshin character, they're going to be viable for you. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Starting with Kokomi. Kokomi is very interesting, and you're going to hear me say that probably 20 times, so I apologize. She's Hydro, so obviously she has access to good reactions, and I've seen her built to where she can do pretty decent Hydro damage, even on par with maybe like a C0 Childe. For me, she's just not a very fun character. I don't really like Catalyst users as far as gameplay is concerned. That could change, I'm sure there'll be fun Catalyst users down the road. They're just not today. She's a healer. I don't need a healer right now. I have Bennett, I have Diona, I have Jean. But if you are newer to Genshin and you're just starting, and let's say you're just starting when Kokomi's rerun is up, she might be a little bit more viable for you in that instance. Because, healers are still viable. Like I said, I still use Bennett, I still use Diona. We still need healers. Even if you're a Giga Whale, you need to keep your characters healthy, no matter how strong Zhongli's shield might be. That being said, on top of that, we have the new artifact set, which is going to give healers a little bit of access to burstier damage. And then the content, it's going to have to get harder. There's no way that it won't. We already have seen corrosion become a thing. We have more elemental reactions coming. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been afflicted by burning, which is Dendro and Pyro, excuse me. That takes your health so quickly. And that's going to be put in the game. It's going to be put in Spiral Abyss. So healers are still going to be viable. So she's B tier for me today, but who's to say down the road she's not better. Now moving into Raiden, aka I. Love this character. She's easy S tier for me. Not only can she do pretty decent damage, even at C0, but she is so versatile in the fact that her burst charges your other character's burst. And I can't tell you how invaluable this is, especially in the Spiral Abyss. She is so much fun to use. I think she has some of the best character design in Genshin. That's just my personal opinion. I like her voice actress. I like her story. I couldn't recommend this character enough, especially if you actually just got and wished on Eula and you got Eula. Raiden Eula is such a good tandem. It's crazy. I mean, that's part of my main team. So she's easy S tier for me. I think if you wait for her to come around and you wish on her, you're not going to be sad. You're not going to have FOMO of other characters because she's cracked. And I know I might be biased because mine's C2, but even at C0, you use an R5 catch. You throw down Bennett's burst. She can do good damage, but no matter what, even when she's in her burst, she's charging everybody, including herself's burst, back up. So I highly recommend this character. Moving on to Aloy. I don't even know if I consider Aloy a 5-star. I know technically she is one. She's cryo, so she gets access to some good elemental reactions. Her bombs, my problem is they don't get sucked up by Venti, and I don't have Kazuha. I do have Sucrose, but she's not a viable character for me. She's B tier. I know she can be pretty decent. I've seen some pretty cool gameplay of her, and I had played Horizon Zero Dawn in the past, so I was excited for the crossover, but just not a character I'm interested in. But she's still viable if you invest in her. Like I said, B tier for me. Moving down to Yuri Mia. Now, Yuri Mia is, like I've always said, an interesting character. She is Pyro, so obviously, you throw her in with Xingqiu, you throw her in with Fischl, throw down Bennett's Burst. She can do really good single target damage. But the problem I have, and it's a problem I have with most bow users, is I just don't really like their gameplay. It's not fun for me. The biggest problem I have is one, charged shots are really tedious with bow users, and also their auto attacks. The auto aim is specifically on PS5. It might be a little bit better on PC. I haven't tested it, but the auto aim can be a little bit wonky, a little bit cumbersome at times. So that's my biggest challenge with bow users. I do think Yuri Mia is probably, of the bow users, probably my favorite gameplay wise, just because she is, fun. She is kind of like machine gunning it. Like I said, she's got good team comps. She can do good single target damage. She's pyro, but she also has a really cool character design. She's kind of a cool character herself. She's does fireworks. I like fireworks. She's always really friendly and interacts with kids. So I just think she's a good overall character. Easily an A tier. I don't think I would put her much higher than that. Moving over to Ayaka. Now, for the longest time, I thought when Ayaka came out, I was going to wish for her. When I started playing Genshin, I didn't know anything about the game. I had seen some CBT footage, so I was super hyped for Xiao. I was super hyped for Ayaka. But when she came out and I tested her, I kind of was whelmed, or I don't want to say underwhelmed, but I was definitely whelmed. Now, design-wise, I think she looks fantastic. I would say I do not understand how big her forehead is, but that's nonetheless. But for me, I don't like the dash. It is cumbersome. I know, if you use her a lot, you can quote unquote master it. But also, you kind of have to really emphasize her cryo infusion of her weapon to better optimize her damage, and that's just a little bit tedious for me. But her burst is absolutely nuts. She can do really good melt. She can do perma freeze, and if you are constantly freezing your enemies and they're grouped up, I think her burst is probably one of the best in the game. I mean, it definitely has some of the craziest multipliers. So she's easily A tier. She could probably be even leaning into A plus tier. I don't think I would say S tier, but she's cracked. If you need a cryo damage dealer, um, she's excellent. And honestly, if I did get Ayaka, I would probably use her more as a support damage dealer just because of how good her burst is. But like I said, she's a good character. You can't go wrong. Easy A tier. Kazuha. Let's just get this out of the way. Kazuha, S tier, easy, all day, Monday to Sunday. He's fantastic. I don't have him on my main account. I do have him on my free-to-play account on my PC, and he's actually C1. And the reason I don't have him on my main account is I made a deal with myself early on that both of my accounts were going to have completely different characters. So like on my free-to-play account, I don't have Zhongli. I don't have any characters except for, the standard characters like Keqing and Jean that you just get from missing out on 50/50s. But Kazuha is the one character that I would actually consider getting on my main account just because how good he is. Not only is he incredibly fun, I love doing his little, I can't even pronounce his skill, but launching yourself into the air and then plunging down, doing his burst. It's just the elemental mastery and the swirl that he can do, and the fact that his kit gives so much elemental damage to all your characters. I mean, he's phenomenal. I highly suggest this character. You cannot go wrong with him. Easy, double S tier at least. Eula. Now, I've talked about Eula a lot. I do really like this character. I mentioned that in my account review, which I'll link in the description. I was really intrigued by Eula because she is different, because she is a physical damage dealer. She's not meta. But honestly, she is super viable. She hits like a truck. She's really fun. She kind of has a combo counter built into her kit where you really need to figure out an optimum rotation. So I like the fact that it's not necessarily brain dead gameplay. You do kind of have to figure out the optimum rotation for her to maximize her damage. But for me, she's easy A tier. I'm biased. I could lean her into A plus. She's probably not S tier just because she doesn't have elemental reactions, but she does a ton of damage. And if you just wished for her and got her, congratulations. She's awesome. Like I said about Raiden, if you pair her with Raiden, or even if you pair her with like a C6 Fischl, forget about it. She's cracked. She does really good damage. I love this character. Couldn't recommend her more. Moving down to Hu Tao, another character that I don't have on my main account, but I do have on my free-to-play account. I love Hu Tao. I actually have her C1 on my free-to-play account as well with a Staff of Homa. I totally blew all my Primo Gems on it. But Hu Tao is really fun. Really like her character design. Really like her character in general. She's just kind of fun, playful. She's very joking. And she does a lot of damage, and she's really fun. Now, the one thing I will say, and it could be a little hot takey, is I really prefer her at C1. At C0, it's a little clunky for me. I'm not the type of person that wants to do jump canceling. I think it's a little cumbersome. Now, don't get me wrong, you can do it. I've seen plenty of people do it really effectively. But for me, that's why I wanted to get her C1, because C1 just makes her a little bit more smooth and fluid. So that can be a bit of a distraction, but for me, she's easily A plus tier. She could even lean into S tier, maybe, but A tier nonetheless. She's Pyro. You have to really use Xingqiu with her, so if you do have her, or you are planning on getting her, make sure you build up your Xingqiu, but fantastic character. Highly recommend her. Xiao. Like I said, I was pretty excited for Xiao based on the CBT footage. He was my first ever, character I was super hyped for. I got him C1. That's the biggest problem with Xiao is his energy regeneration. Like you really should optimally run him with another animal character. So, Sucrose, Jean, if you have Venti, that's going to help him substantially. But his gameplay is super fun. I know it can be a little bit clunky, especially on PC. It's pretty smooth on PlayStation, but plunging is fun. He's got good AoE. His dashes are kind of fun. But, I have been running him with Zhongli and Albedo and Bennett. That was kind of my main team for a while. I still use that from time to time. But I really like his design. I like that he's kind of a tormented soul. He's got kind of a cool character arc. So easy A tier for me. I'm biased. I could probably lean him into A plus tier. I don't think he's S tier. I would say if money wasn't an issue, wasn't a thing, I think C6 Xiao would be my favorite character in Genshin, and I don't think it would be even close. I will say plunging with him can get a little monotonous from time to time. It is really fun, don't get me wrong, but C6 and the fact that you proc his dashes so frequently, it would just be a blast. So I think C6 Xiao is probably one of the best, if not the best characters in Genshin, but you could probably say that about a lot of 5 stars. But easy, easy, easy A tier for me. Ganyu, another character that I have on my free-to-play account. This is gonna be hot takey. I'll just say first and foremost, she's S tier. She's absolutely nuts. She's one of, if not the best characters in Genshin. She has a taunt. Her burst is really good. And then her multipliers on her charge attack are nuts. Now for me, I find her gameplay, and forgive me for saying this, incredibly boring. Now, I know she can do a ton of damage. I know her multipliers on her charge shot are nuts, and they rival bursts on other 5-star characters. But it's just really boring. Like, I just have a hard time really getting behind it. It's not very fun for me. But her rerun is coming. If you don't have her or you've been intrigued by her, obviously wish on her. She's fantastic. She's going to make your team, she's going to make your account so much better. Just personally, not my favorite character and not a character that I would get on my main account ever. Obviously, I do have her on my free-to-play account, but S tier every single day. She's fantastic. Now moving down to Albedo. Now, obviously, with 2.3, Albedo got a lot better. I do think he's pretty easily an A tier now because we've never seen a character, maybe aside from Zhongli, that got such a substantial buff. You know, he's got a signature weapon that has a ton of defense percent built in. He's got a signature set. He's just a really fun character, you know. Throwing down his E, getting that Thunderdome that, you know, he supplements any other damage that happens in that dome. And then his burst is fun. He's just, I like quick swap teams sometimes. I like quick swap teams, but he's just really fun to use. I highly recommend this character. I'm sure some of you have already wished for him. Don't worry, he's an excellent character, and I think he just got a lot better, so he's A tier, easy for me. Zhongli, I don't think I need to say a lot about this character. He's just like Ganyu, one of the best characters in the game. His shield is probably the best ability in the game, just because it makes Genshin quote-unquote easy mode. But on top of that, his burst has petrification, which is super vital. He's just a really fun character. I think he probably has my favorite US voice actor. He just has such a deep and throaty voice. So Zhongli, fantastic. I don't think I need to say anything else. Obviously, he gets physical and elemental defense shred when his shield is up. So double S tier, triple S tier, whatever you want. Zhongli is phenomenal. Over to Childe, aka Tartaglia. Now, Childe was my first main damage dealer, like I had referenced in my account review. I really like this character. He's really the only bow user that I like because he's barely a bow user. You just use his elemental skill, and then his bursts, both of them are pretty fun. I think he's easily an A tier, especially with how good Xiangling has gotten. So I think from a gameplay perspective, he's one of, I think gameplay wise, he's S tier. Like, I think he's so much fun to use. Viability wise, he's definitely A tier. His cooldown is definitely an issue. I'm not going to lie. You know, I wish I could just use his skill and use it for 40 seconds straight and not be so significantly penalized, but c'est la vie, we can't. It's probably intentional that way. But A tier, love this character, highly recommend him as well. Down to Klee. Klee. Probably the cutest character in Genshin. She is actually a pretty good character. For me, she's clunky. Her charge attack is clunky. And like I said, I don't really enjoy Catalyst users. I think Klee is probably the most fun Catalyst user of the bunch thus far. She's Pyro. She can do really good damage. So she's A tier for me, but not a character that I would ever consider using. I think a lot of her damage is really locked behind, I think it's what, her Constellation 4, so that's a little annoying, but you know, if you wish for her and you started Genshin earlier on, you do have Dodoko Tails, which, you know, R5 is a really good weapon for her. So she's A tier for me and, you know, a solid character, and I think if you got her, you wouldn't be disappointed as well. Now to Venti, our Barbados, my first ever 5-star in Genshin. And he's actually my first ever 10 pull, as you can see. I got him back like the first week or so that Genshin was out. Love this character. I used him extensively in the early game. He's S tier still. I don't use him as much as I did in the past, just because I think he's not as viable in Spiral Abyss, especially in like floor 12 or against, you know, big bosses. He's really good. He's really good. He's phenomenal at crowd control. So any instance that there's a lot of enemies, I mean, he is the go-to character for grouping them up. But he's easy S tier. I couldn't recommend him enough. That's pretty much all. He's cracked. Now over to Keqing, or Keqing, whatever you want to call her. I say Keqing. That was kind of a joke. Sorry. I was really excited for this character as well. In fact, when I started playing Genshin, when I was wishing on the standard banner, I was actually really hoping to get her. I really like her character design. I think she's cool. I think her animations are pretty fun. I do think her abilities are a little underwhelming damage-wise. Her burst is really fun, really cool. You kind of similar to Ayaka, you really have to make sure that her weapon is infused with Electro all the time just to do a good amount of damage. But for me, she's probably B plus. She could maybe squeak into A tier, but really fun character. Again, she's very viable. I mean, I think another problem I have with her is like her attacks kind of knock back enemies too much, and that can interfere with her DPS. But if you build her right, if you like Keqing, she's a really solid character. So I would say she's right in between B and A tier for me. Moving over to Mona. Now Mona is really interesting because again, she has that annoying dash that, you know, obviously I made a meme video on, but she unlocks some of the biggest damage bursts or damage showcases in Genshin. And I think I have a hard time ranking her because I haven't actually used her that much. I haven't built her. Obviously, she has a taunt, and like I said, she has crazy damage potential built into her burst. So I'm actually going to say she's A tier, and normally I probably would have considered her B tier, but the fact that I'm really excited to build this character, I actually think I'll be building her next. I'm going to put her in A tier just because she is such a good support, because she is Hydro. She has pretty decent Hydro application. So for me, she's actually going to be A tier. Oops, sorry, Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi, Chi-Chi, Chi-Chi. Now, I actually just got Chi-Chi. I wish I would have recorded the wishing. I was pretty bummed to get her. I'm not going to lie. She's probably the worst, not probably, she probably is the worst 5-star in Genshin, unfortunately. But like I said about Kokomi, is if you are just starting in Genshin, and actually even when I started playing Genshin, I wouldn't have been upset to get Chi-Chi because she is a good healer. Is she the best? No. But the fact that there is an artifact set now for healers that unlocks a little bit of bursty damage for them, that's going to make her more viable. And like I said, Genshin content, it's going to get harder. There's no way it doesn't. MiHoYo realizes that that's a big issue with their player base. So it's going to get harder. So for me, she's probably C tier. She's my lowest ranking 5-star, but you still need healers in Genshin, and if you got her early game, I don't think it's completely account destroying, but nonetheless, not the most optimum 5-star. Moving down to Diluc. I really like Diluc. I wouldn't be overly upset if I got him, just because I don't have a pyro damage dealer. I do like his attack animations. I think his burst is pretty cool. Obviously, you pair him with Xingqiu, you pair him with C6 Bennett. Don't C6 your Bennett, but I'm saying if you accidentally did, it works really well with him. I think he's pretty cool. I don't know if he's A tier. He could probably sneak into A tier, at least B plus tier. Just because, you know, Claymore users, they do attack really slow, but, you know, they do have pretty good multipliers. So no, I'll say he's A tier just because he is Pyro. He can do decent damage. He's fun to use. He's got a good voice actor. So yeah, pretty solid character. I know, obviously, MTash loves him. And last but not least, Jean. Now, Jean is kind of tricky to rank, personally, because Jean is actually a pretty versatile character, and I said I do like versatile Genshin characters. She can heal. She can do a decent amount of damage, actually, if you build her properly. She's a good support if you use the Viridescent set. But I don't really like the, you know, fall damage aspect. I know it can do a lot of damage, but it is a little bit tedious. So for me, she's probably a B tier. I would say she's like A tier and up in Spiral Abyss rotations where there's like environmental effects that she can cleanse. She's phenomenal in that situation, and obviously she's got a good character design. So I think she's a good character, just not a character like I'm super high on as a whole. But I think that's everything. So I know this is a long video. I appreciate you guys stopping by and sticking around this long if you have. Comment down below if you agree with my tier list. What do you think of it? What would you change? And also let me know. I'm really curious to see like who of you have wished for Albedo, for Eula, etc. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.